Hi, I'm Rolf, and today we're going to be talking about VSTs and CPU usage. As you can see, I already have a project pulled up in Ableton that we're going to be using to explore this concept. First, playing just the audio tracks with no effects applied. You'll notice on the CPU load meter here in the top right, our CPU usage is quite low, and that's because we don't have any VSTs that are running at the moment. But if I wanted, for example, some delay and reverb on the tracks that are playing, now if I start the audio, you'll notice the average gets a bit higher and we see it spiking more often. And if I wanted even more effects on these audio tracks, we'll see that the CPU usage can start going up very fast. The load is getting to a point where we're going to start experiencing lag and latency latency, which is terrible when you're trying to get the timing just right in a song. But what can we do about this? Well, there's a few strategies that we can use here. One is to freeze and flatten our audio tracks. And essentially what that is doing is we are recording the audio with the effects, so you no longer have to load the plugins themselves. They're essentially printed into the audio track. So this first track, right? That's the audio with all the effects on it. But now let's take a listen to the flattened track. It sounds the same, but you might have noticed that our CPU usage wasn't spiking as often. It wasn't going quite as high as it was before. And if I did the same with the drums here, you'd see it go down even further. Another thing that you can do is to use sends for plugins that you intend to use on several different tracks. So I have a delay on both the drums and on the audio. So instead of having a delay on every single track, I set up this send that has my delay on it, and we can just turn it up here and we'll get that delay without using up as much of the CPU. And we can do the same with the reverb, putting it all on one send so that you don't have to use an individual plugin for each track. Now, I've also got some virtual instruments here that are played using MIDI, and they also have a tendency to use a bit of CPU. To get around this, we can again use the trick of freezing or flattening or bouncing your tracks to recorded audio so that you don't have to process the instrument every time you play it back. But let's say you want to put the same exact effect on both tracks. And we are just using so much CPU with that. Well, instead of using an effect on each track, and instead of using a send, which only processes part of the audio from the track, we can put both of these tracks into a group. And we can place just one copy of the effect on the group and have it affect both tracks at the same time for essentially half the cost. You'll notice it was spiking at about 30% earlier. Now we brought it back to 25, which is a significant difference for the average CPU load. Well, that's all the time I have for today. But if you have any other tips and tricks for avoiding CPU overload in your DAW, be sure to leave them in the comments below. Thanks for watching.